this evening, I'm afraid, by about 50 seconds. Oh, not according to the clock. Caroline, hi. Can you hear me okay, love? Can you hear me okay? Let me know. Whew, what a scorcher. Phew. Yeah, all pools there. Lovely. I wonder if anybody else will join us all. You're all on a beach somewhere. Hello there, Sarah. Hi, Diana. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Hello there, Karen. Hello, Trandans. Nettie, hi. Russian Doll, hi. Good evening. Thank you for choosing to come in and say hi. Hi, MJ. Hi, Tammy Lynn. Glad you can hear me. Good. Excellent. How lovely. Good evening, Sarah. Hi, Dean. Well, I hope you're all doing okay this evening. No, Sarah, we didn't get a thunderstorm, unfortunately, nothing at all, because if we had, I'd have videoed it for you. Hi, India. Hi, Sally. Yeah, it is rather hot. It's about, I don't know, 28, I think. Bit of a breeze going on at the moment. Hi, Beatrice. How luxurious, sitting in the garden, watching YouTube. How lovely. You had about, yeah, I saw down south, Sarah, that Kent and Essex got it. So the storms happened sort of way over to the east. Us in the west, we didn't get anything at all, sadly. Nothing at all, not a sausage.
Not a rumble.
Not a rumble. Hello there, Jane. Hello, Elaine. Yeah, it's been in the, I think, the early 30s today here. But where the temperature gauge is, which is at the back of the house, it's in shade now. So, yeah. But it's not, I mean, I'm enjoying it, to be honest. I'll tell you how I sort of deal with it mentally. So, what I do is I think to myself, just imagine it's winter. And, most of you know what the winters are like in our house. They're cold. Just imagine it's winter and the house is beautifully insulated and you've got the heating on full blast. That's what I do. And then I go, it's lovely and warm. Hi, Debbie Ann. Oh, I bet, Sarah. I know you don't like storms. No, I've not. I've been in the garden once today just to get some fresh herbs to do some cooking, because I did another salad today, which will be coming up next week for you guys. But yeah, just to do that. I can't go in my own garden at the moment because of the amount of noise from the building site, which is just here.
And dust.
So there's noise and dust constantly. We just can't go in the garden. It's impossible to do it. So yeah, it's ridiculous. Oh dear, your car broke down. Oh. Hello there, Helen. Hi there, Nancy. Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you, Tammy Lynn. Yeah, I'm sort of, I'm doing different salads at the moment using different things that we've got in stock. So you saw me cooking with couscous the other day or last week. This week it was bulgur wheat, and next week is going to be quinoa. Yeah. Hi, Ronnie. Yeah, you will. It's quinoa. So, but that won't be out until next week now. It'll be out on Tuesday. So, in terms of the rhythm of recording videos and putting videos out, Tuesdays and Thursdays will be cookery days. Yeah. Oh yeah, Caroline. We've not been for our walk. Paul's been down to the plot to do the things that need to be done, like the watering and plant care. But I've not gone out. I won't walk in this kind of weather at all. It's oh, Sarah, yeah. I mean, you know, at one stage we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things going on at the same time. Luckily, one of them has stopped. There's scaffolding over the road as well. That I think has been finished. So I think they're waiting for the scaff to come down. There's one at the back. I'm not sure whether they've finished or not.
No,
But the
they
scaff is still up. But this one is in full swing from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5, sometimes later. Yeah. Yeah, it is too hot to go outside. But I mean, doing stuff indoors is fine as long as I take, you know, a reasonable pace. I did a little bit of indoor plant care earlier, and within 5 minutes I was sweating cobs. And I was just snipping a few branches. Yeah. All right, Paul, it's not that funny. But literally, I was. Yeah, okay, God.
I've been doing tomato cares for 32 plants.
I've been hotter than you. God, honestly.
Oh.
Yeah, whatever. Hi, Sally. But yes, tomorrow is forecast to be hotter, Debbie Ann, and also Sunday is due to get fresher. So that's good. That's really good. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How we in the UK generally are not really equipped for the heat. And I was saying to Paul earlier that we've known and lived with a number of Australians over the years. And I've worked with a number of Australians as well. And it's very often they'll say things like, oh, it feels so much hotter in London in the summer than it does in Australia. And, you know, I think there are various reasons for this. We have quite lingering humidity levels. You know, humidity doesn't burn off that easily in the UK. And very often we get this sort of thin cloud of this blanket of cloud that traps the heat and keeps things feeling really muggy. And of course, we don't have clear out storms that regularly, you know, it's only certain conditions. Plus, our homes are not designed for these kind of extremes, you know. And, you know, a lot of the UK people tend to not shut out the sun. They tend to, you know, open the windows and let all the air in, and the air's very often hotter outside than it is inside. So I just don't think we're equipped that well. But thank goodness, more and more transportation now has aircon, and quite a number of shops do as well, which is a good thing. Not that I go to any shops to experience it.
Well, you did go to Lidl.
Well, I did go to Lidl
That
with
was
Paul.
exciting.
It was exciting, that fabulous new Scandi designed store. Yeah, Tammy Lynn, the construction is very close. It's literally there. So yeah. Okay, what's on the menu tonight, Sally? Well, I think we're having leftovers tonight. So we've still got some leftover bulgur wheat salad. There's leftover quinoa salad that we've also got that I made today. As I say, you'll see that on Tuesday. Really delicious, really delicious. And very filling as well. Quinoa is an excellent source of protein. Not to everybody's liking, but if you cook it well, the right way, which I will show you on Tuesday, and time it exactly right, it turns out really beautiful, really nice and grainy with a little bit of bite. I love a grain. I love a seed. Beautiful. What was I saying? What was I saying? I've lost my thread.
Building work.
Building work.
No.
I was saying something else. Remind me, people. Construct menu tonight. That's what we were saying. So we'll have something with that. Yeah. Sarah, plenty of liquids is one of it's a great way to stay cool. It really is. You know, it really is. Oh, good. I'm glad your festival was good. Excellent. Vimto, Paul.
Yeah.
Vimto's not got a P in it.
Hasn't it?
No, it's not Vimpto. It's Vimto. Vimto. Honestly, Paul, really. Thank you, Sally. Hi, Tony. Yeah, Vimto. I hope it's sugar-free, Paul.
It is.
Good.
Well, all cordials, most are.
Really?
Well, yeah, because of the sugar tax.
Oh, yeah, the sugar tax. Yes, we're doing well with subscribers. It's steadily moving forwards all the time. Sally, so quinoa it's like a seed. It's a grain-like seed. But it can be a bit tricky because people don't tend to know how to cook it properly. And if you overcook it, it is vile. Vile. Honestly, it turns into...
Little worms.
So, just to describe it, we've got red quinoa. So, as it cooks, it becomes a bit sort of see-through. And inside, you've got what looks like the beginning of a little seedling. And that becomes sort of, you can see it, becomes transparent. But if you take it to the next stage, it turns into what kind of looks like frog spawn, frankly. Ugh. But if you cook it to the right stage, you still see this little seedling type of affair, but it has a nice little bit of bite to it. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that and how much timing to give it, and indeed how much water to give it, because if you swamp it in water, it's disgusting. Hi, Brian. Welcome. The P is silent, Dean. Don't turn things like that. He'll be sticking a silent P in everywhere. Tricolour quinoa. I don't think we've ever had the plain quinoa, have we?
No, red.
No, red quinoa's lovely.
And black.
Nice and nutty. Ah, Debbie Ann. Debbie Ann. No. Now, I do 1 cup of quinoa to 1 3/4 cup, and I simmer for exactly 15 minutes, very low simmer. Then I leave it in the pan with a lid on for about 5 minutes. And that for me with red quinoa, this is different, red quinoa, that's exactly the right amount of time. Yeah. Well, it's high protein, Tony. It's one of the seeds which is very, very high protein. Can you buy quinoa in Lidl, Paul? I think you can, can't you?
Yeah.
I
not
think so.
always, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's Lidl for you. 1 week you can, 1 week you can't. Yeah.
You're a little expert now. You visited once.
Now I visited once. I'm an expert at Lidl. I visited more than once, Paul.
Twice.
I visited Saint Maxime, south of France, just across from Saint-Tropez. Yeah. So twice, I think you'll find. No, I'm not a shopping expert, but because, and this is the truth, I can't stand shopping. I don't like it. I like shopping online and everything comes to the door as if by magic. You know, when they first started talking about the internet, tell you a little story that I find funny. You'll find it a bit mental probably, but hey ho, that's me for you. When they first started talking about the internet and started talking about internet shopping, I remember my brain thinking, how is it going to come? Is there going to be like a tunnel to your house with like a little thing that you open and the parcel will be there? I thought there'd be like a conveyor belt to everybody's house that would be part of the internet, because nobody knew what the internet was, you know. So I thought it was like, you know, how they pipe electricity into your house. But I thought there would be like a tunnel with a little conveyor belt, like on the Generation game. Do you remember? That's what I thought it was in my head. That's what I thought it was going to be like. And the products would just be there and you just pick them and that would be it. I didn't think about delivery. I know. And we used to have deliveries when we were kids. Do you remember the White Arrow van? You won't, Paul, being a Hobbit person of Guernsey.
No, I don't.
But I remember when the catalogue, the things from the catalogue used to get delivered in the White Arrow van. Do you remember? Yeah, there we are. Just checking on the comments. Just bear with me. I'm making sure that I'm getting everything. Yeah. Yeah, catalogues. We didn't have Grattan. We had, what did we have? John England. John England. My granny used to run it, and it was always called The Club, you know, and it was great because we were able to choose things from the catalogue. And I always remember saying, can I have this? And my mum saying, no, you can't, it's too expensive. But you'd say, but it's only 20p a week for 36 weeks. Because as a child, you just didn't really understand it, you know. But yeah, the catalogue, that's how you were able to afford clothes back then in the 70s and 80s, you know. Tony, I think it got to, I don't know, I didn't do a temperature check. I think it was around 33 on the patio, certainly at one point, probably hotter than that. It very regularly in this kind of weather gets up to 40, 41, 42 on the patio in full sun. That's where the sensor is. So, you know, that's giving an inaccurate reading in full sun. That's not generally how they take the temperatures, is it? I'm trying to think of what shops we had when I was younger. So I remember when I was a small child and we lived in Wilmslow, we used to shop locally. We didn't go to supermarkets. Supermarkets they were around, but they weren't a thing for most people. I think
all the co-op things.
I think, well, you know, my dad went out to work. My mum didn't drive. My grandfather was out at work and my granny didn't drive. We lived quite nearby. So I remember we used to meet up with my granny and we used to go to the local shops. So there was a local, what do you call them? They weren't called delicatessens in those days, but they had a sort of delicatessen counter. Oh, I think it was a spa. I think it was a spa shop with various sections. So fresh bread, cold meats and cheeses, tinned goods. But I can remember going to shops where the shopkeeper would help you with stuff,
Oh yeah.
you know, weighing out things. And, you know, it wasn't all self-service, it was only partially self-service. So,
And Woolworths.
yeah,
Woolworths had a deli counter.
I don't remember that, certainly not in our local town. But I remember the sort of budget supermarkets coming in. There was one called C&C. Then Quick Save came in later. And of course, they were really budget supermarkets. You had to be careful that you didn't do yourself a mischief because there were boxes piled high on racks, you know, and always somebody doing some kind of work. And so eventually supermarkets took over from sort of small local shops. Hi, Geraldine. Just checking the comments. Bee jams. I don't think we had bee jams.
We didn't have things like that.
No, well, you wouldn't, Paul, coming from the Hobbit island of Guernsey.
Well, it had to be managed or part owned by a Guernsey person years ago.
Hi, Glynis. What, Paul? What were you saying?
It was like Marks and Spencer's.
You didn't have all the advantages that we had.
No.
Oh, poor Paul living on the little island of Guernsey. Poor Paul. Shorts? No, Sally, I don't wear shorts. I wear 3/4 length. That's what I got on today. They're linen, actually. Linen 3/4 lengths, and they're very baggy, especially around the regions that get hot. Oh, Iceland, yeah.
The equator.
Sorry?
Regions
around my equator, my equatorial regions. Yeah, that's what we'll call them. Yeah, small shops. I remember we had a local sweet shop that was very, very old, very old. TMI. Yeah, it is a bit TMI. But, you know, one has to think of this as a mature man. You had a bee jam in Hempstead Valley Shopping Centre. Yeah, I don't remember bee jams, but my shopping centre eventually, when we moved from Wilmslow, when I was 3 or 4, I have very early memories, by the way. I still retain them. There was more on offer, you know, there was a Tesco's, and not that we ever shopped in Tesco's, because where we lived, there was an estate, and it actually had a little precinct. And in that precinct, that shopping precinct, which had flats above it, there was the main supermarket, there was a hardware store, there was a greengrocer's, I think there was a butcher's, there was a newsagent as well. And of course, the favourite stores were the hardware store and the newsagents, because they had the greatest variety of little things that were interesting to little people, you know. So we would do certain foods at the Quick Save, you know, tinned goods, packet goods, frozen goods, and then we'd go down to the greengrocers to get all the vegetables and blah blah blah, and then we'd walk home carrying bags. That's how we did it, because my mum didn't drive. So yeah, Gosh, I remember those days. And I remember when I was really young, must have been 3, I had a tricycle with a metal box on the back. And it was my job to carry the loaf of bread because it was that small that only a loaf of bread would fit in that box. Just checking the comments. Oh, don't. Danish pastries, Caroline. Oh, I love a Danish. Oh, jam donut as well. Now, Tony, funny you should say that, but when we moved to Macclesfield, we still used to do shopping, but we had a bread van come round to do the bread and cakes. And we'd have a milk delivery as well. And the milk that we had was green and gold top. So it had the cream on the top in old-fashioned long bottles. Yeah. Marianne, yeah, I've seen those undies. Yeah. I've seen them, but I haven't tried them. No. A cobbler. Yeah. Hi, Shaz. Oh, excellent. You got the bread maker. Brilliant. Excellent. They are good, aren't they? The only problem with them is when you first get one, you're just making bread all the time. We were making so many loaves at one stage. It was, yeah. But it's, the thing is, you know exactly what you're putting in, you know, and it's so fresh. And the smell when it's cooking, it's lovely. I remember when we first got a bread maker, not the Panasonic, but we got a little one from...
QVC.
No, we didn't get it from QVC. We got it from that shop that was Wilkinson's, that used to be Woolworths. We got it from there. We were at the flat. And we got it there. It was $29.99. And it was a make called Elevation. I remember. And we made our first loaf and we set the timer to do it overnight. And of course, you wake up to the smell of baking bread, which was divine. Oh, Tony, I used to love the cream on the top of the milk on the cornflakes in the morning. Yeah, especially when it was cold from being on the doorstep in the snow and the ice in those days. Well, Tina, go over and have a look at my my video, why I should buy a bread maker, or why should I buy a bread maker? I can't remember. It's full of good information, and plenty of people have watched it, and it's been really helpful. So it might help you decide if you've not already watched it. So yeah. Now, funnily enough, our bread man was called Norman. And I'm referencing a program there.
Dinner Ladies.
I'm referencing Dinner Ladies. And yeah, Norman the bread man. Actually, I'll tell you a spooky story, if I may, about Norman the bread man. He saw a ghost in our house. Are you all sitting comfortably? So this was in, well, okay, how can I talk about it? So when my granddad died, we moved in as a family into my grandma's home, which was not too far from where we lived. It's all very close. And obviously we had to tell, you know, the bread man that, you know, we'd moved, so he'd deliver to the new house. And my mum told me this story. She was in the house on her own during the day, because that's when the bread man used to come. We must have been at school, I guess, and my dad would have been at work, and my grandma was also, I think she still working at that stage? I can't remember. But she was out. She was out. And she lived in an extension that we had built on the house just for her, a so-called granny flat. And anyway, Norman came to the door and he said to my mum, "Your mother-in-law's a fine-looking woman, isn't she?" And my mum said, oh, I guess so. Have you just seen her in the street? He said, no, I've just waved to her. She's upstairs. She just waved to me. And my mum said, Norman, she's not in. And she said to him, you can get up those stairs now, Norman, and check it out, because if there's somebody else in the house, I want to know. And she wasn't in. She was out. Interesting, huh? Just catching up with the comments. Hello, Louise. You make your own bread. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is spooky, isn't it? My mum had her fair share of seeing things, yeah, over a number of years, and in that house as well. But yeah, it's difficult to know whether somebody's seeing something or imagining it, you know. But when Norman saw that, yeah, that kind of brought somebody else into the picture, if you like, you know. So interesting. Yeah. Sorry, just catching up. Hi, Laura. So we're 32 minutes in. We've got 77 people watching. Let me just say thank you. Thank you for choosing to tune in this evening. It's kind of you. We all lead busy lives, don't we? We do. I'm just going to have some of my water from my massive, massive cup, glass.
Tankard, glass tankard.
Ooh, coffee cake. Oh, I do. I love coffee cake as well. Coffee and walnut.
Mm.
Yeah, I think so, Brian. I think it is. I think it is more cost effective, but you've got to factor in the energy. However, I think that bread maker is, I think it's 500 watts, and obviously it's not using full-on energy all the way through. So, you know, it's going to be doing the mixing, the kneading, and it must have a fairly powerful motor. And then it's going to do the bake, but the bake occurs sort of towards the end of the cycle. So, you know, I think these machines are fairly intelligent, you know, so it doesn't seem to use a huge amount of energy, which is good. But yeah, we only make, I don't know, when was the last time I made a loaf? It's usually when my niece comes, we make a fresh loaf because she enjoys toast for breakfast. And I do like to make a fruit loaf as well occasionally. Yeah. No, Sally, and interesting because Shaz and I had a discussion about making cake. You can't really make cake in a bread maker as such. It's going to be a loaf because generally cakes need to be, if it's a sponge cake, it needs to be creamed. So it doesn't have a function to do any kind of vigorous whipping up, because the creaming action on a sponge cake is to introduce as much air into the mixture as possible, to whip it up to a pale cream stage. So the bread maker won't do that. You can make things like a fruit loaf, and obviously, cake, a sponge cake and a nice spongy loaf aren't dissimilar, but of course the bread gets its air from the action of yeast expanding and bubbling. So yeah, you can't make cakes as such. It's not a cake maker. Well, Louise, we don't eat that much bread. We have a weekly treat where Paul buys from Lidl the German rye bread, the really dark, very thinly sliced rye bread. And we have that once a week as toast. And occasionally we'll have a little, baguette as a treat, but that's it. So we don't eat, it's maybe once or twice a week maximum with bread, because, yeah, we do have to be careful. Hi, Jeanette. So that's what we buy, and yeah, we enjoy it. We enjoy it. And like I say, occasionally I make a fruit loaf, or I'll make a loaf to have for toast with my niece, and that's it. Yeah. What haven't we seen come through our post box, Paul?
The coffee cake. Lots of icing.
Nobody's posted it any to us. I love making cakes, I really do. But the problem is that if I make a huge Victoria sponge, I've either got to freeze part of it or I've got to give it away, because otherwise we will just eat all of it. And we can't afford those kind of calories now. You've got to be careful as you get older. We're not spring chickens. I know I look amazing.
Sugar-free something.
I know I look amazingly young for my age, but hey, we're not young anymore. We're both pushing 60. Yeah. Well, all that sugar, and that fat, and all that wheat, one has to be careful. We like to be as mindful as possible with the food that we eat. Although, having said that, when there's chocolate in the house, I can't resist it. I just can't resist it at all. But we're also very aware. I mean, we studied nutrition. We did, I did O-level food and nutrition. We did a little course on nutrition a few years ago, which was really in depth. And we're both very aware of what we put in. Having said that, we're also both very aware that we don't want to lead lives of deprivation, because that's even worse. When you're told you can't have this, you want it even more. So, we try to sort of go by a little bit of what you fancy does you good, which I think it does. But I do like honey in my tea in the morning, but I don't take sugar in my coffee anymore. So we don't really eat that much refined sugar at all, really. So Paul is coming up to 59
In a month.
in a month's time, and I reach 58 in September. Yeah. Geraldine, don't be guilty about crisps. I eat tortilla chips every day. Yeah, every day. What do you mean, Dean, by Clecky cake? Well, Sandra, you're very kind. Yeah, I mean, you know, some days I look in the mirror and think, Christ, I look 70. In the middle of winter when you're grey and it's cold and you just really don't look particularly great. Whoops, Helen. Well, you know, we all have days like that. That Cadbury's chocolate cream egg bar didn't last very long, I can tell you that. And there's a partial dairy milk in the cupboard now. Yeah. I say partial.
Because you've eaten the other one.
No, because I've started on the dairy milk now.
Oh.
Of course I have. It'll go off, Paul, in this heat. Tell us what Clecky means. Does it mean claggy? Oh, dry. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get it. Okay. Ice cream, Sally? Yeah, I love ice cream. In fact, Paul, there's ice cream in the freezer that we keep forgetting about. I might have to unforget.
And there's that chocolate cake in the freezer as well.
What? I thought we had that.
No, it's still in the freezer, the other half of it.
There's chocolate cake in the freezer. And ice cream. I wondered what that round thing was, but I thought we'd eaten it.
You made two.
But I thought we'd got one out of the freezer.
Yeah, because we had half of it.
Okay. Lovely. Oh, chocolate. I know, Brian, lest it should go off. Well, I love ice cream. It's one of my major things. My favorites are the really lovely, rich chocolate ice cream. I love raspberry ripple. I love strawberry ice cream. I love Cornish ice cream.
You love ice cream.
I love ice cream.
Do you like chocolate ice cream?
Mr. Whippy. I love Mr. Whippy. Well, Sally, I actually do have a Gaggia ice cream maker. And actually, that should be out on the countertop by now. The bread maker should be in the cupboard and the ice cream maker should come out. The only problem with the ice cream maker is cleaning it. It's really fiddly to clean. It's a pain in the backside. But we used to do frozen yogurt in that, which is lovely. Yeah. But, you know, we still used to do it with full fat.
And yogurt.
That's what I mean, full fat yogurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do. Anything like that. And, you know, various types of candy I enjoy as well, but I don't eat them very often. It's very occasional now. Oh, strawberry and vanilla cornetto. Yes, absolutely. I don't think it is, Paul. You bought it for me for my birthday.
Well, I said that.
And of course, my line used to be, I'm gagging for a Gaggia. Oh, no, I don't think I'm going to be doing that. No, there's not going to be any ice cream videos. Not in this house. Don't set me off down that road of making sweet things. Because, as I say, if we make them, we gotta eat them, haven't we? Yeah, no, I can't afford to put any more weight on. I'm already dealing with a tire around my waist, which I've got to somehow work off. No, I'm joking, Gabrielle. I'm joking. I don't like chocolates that's been kept in the fridge. I like my chocolate to be from the cupboard. I do. Well, the thing is, you've got to, with ice cream that you make in the freezer, if you make it by hand, in order to get that texture, you've got to sort of give it a regular stir. That's why the ice cream makers have got a churning mechanism, not unlike the bread maker. So it keeps churning it, so you get that texture. Hi, Susan. Yes, you can, Sally. I've heard this. Absolutely. Well, our kitchen doesn't get too hot, to be honest. So in the cupboard, in the dark, our chocolate's okay. It's just that nice, almost fudge-like texture. Oh, fudge, that's another thing I like. Fudge. Oh, oh, oh. So we're 47 minutes in and we've got 86 people watching. Lovely, brilliant. This very, very warm Friday evening in London. I can't go on. I'm melting. Yeah. Yeah, melts in the mouth. Absolutely. Unlike Hershey's.
Isn't that melts in the mouth, not in your hand?
That was, wasn't that minstrels? They melt in your mouth, not in your hand. Yeah, they were minstrels, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they've got a shell, haven't they?
Yeah. Debbie Ann, plans for the weekend? Well, it's content creation. What day is it? It's Friday, isn't it? So tomorrow morning is filming Sunday Chat.
Sunday Chat!
And yeah, then we've got something on Sunday that I'm not telling you about at the moment. And a bit of housework. That's it. I'm not going to be going out anywhere tomorrow because it's just going to be too hot. And I don't want to burn this creamy complexion. Oh. That sounds lovely. Frozen fruit to make a milkshake. Lovely. Yeah, so that's what's on the cards. I did my main body of housework this morning. So believe it or not, I was awake at 4 and I got out of bed at 4:30. And I was woken up by a fox that was in the skip for next door's building. And it was clearly eating some food that had been discarded in the skip and making a bit of a racket about it. So yeah, I got up and made tea, and by 7 o'clock I was doing chores. So suffice to say, I did have an afternoon nap this afternoon because by 3:30 I was absolutely exhausted, ready to close my eyes. Yeah. Oh no, I can't stand Hershey's. So this goes back to, I don't know when it was, early 90s, must have been. when I was working at Ticketmaster, and an American colleague said, I'm going over to New York, I think it was, and I'm going to be bringing Hershey's back with me. You're going to love Hershey's chocolate. And I was like, oh, great. I love chocolate, blah, blah, blah. And so she brought back with her these, was it Hershey's Kisses or something like that? These little things. And I swear to God, I had one of those and I said, is this dog chocolate? And I spat it out because it was so disgusting on the mouth. It didn't melt. It just sort of, as you chewed it, it just sort of went weird in the mouth, like waxy. And I found it the most disgusting chocolate. Ugh, it was vile. Hated it. Sorry. Thank you, Ronnie. It is my problem. I probably do. I'm totally tuned to Cadbury's and Galaxy, which of course, you know, technically, and they had this row a few years ago. At one point, I think it was the EU regulations were going to determine that Cadbury's chocolate could not be called chocolate because it did not have enough cocoa in it, cocoa solids. And there was a proposal to call it Vegelate rather than chocolate. It never kind of got in because I think there was a bit of an outcry. But of course, you know, Cadbury's is incredibly sweet, incredibly low in cocoa solids. Yeah. So, you know, yeah. But I do also enjoy dark chocolate as well, you know, 80%. But you have to allow that kind of chocolate to melt in the mouth. It's not a chewable chocolate. No, I haven't, Christine. Don't tempt me with something else. Do you remember cooking chocolate?
The old cooking chocolate.
Yeah,
which
that was
wasn't really.
which was like milk chocolate. But of course, you'd always nick it, but again, it wouldn't melt in the same way in your mouth, you know? Fry's chocolate cream. Oh, Fry's chocolate cream. Do you remember the ones with the different centres? Each one had a different colour. Walnut whip, Debbie Ann. I love a walnut whip, but I was put off when I actually found a creature in one. I opened it up and I thought, oh, some of the cream had come out. And then I looked closely and there was like a little sort of like maggot. And it was kind of weaving like a web with silk. Yeah, it put me off for years, that did. But of course, I didn't send it back. I should have done. I might have got a lifetime supply of walnut whips. Yeah. Maltesers, Yorkie bars, but they're not for girls, Yorkie bars. Do you remember that advertising campaign? Pyramid, yes, loved a pyramid, loved a curly whirly, ding dong.
I've got no pyramid.
Pyramid. Funnily enough, Paul, they were pyramid shaped. Yeah. Yeah, can you imagine? Oh, revels. Loved a revel. Do you remember there always used to be a sort of deformed revel? There used to be like a little one that hadn't quite made it through the machine. Do you remember that? Double deckers. Oh, my favourite Yorkie is the biscuit and raisin one. I love that one. Hello there, Sam. Biscuit and raisin. Loved that. Fruit and nut. Cadbury's fruit and nut. Oh my God. Family size. Yeah. Oh, don't. You got me wanting that dairy milk. It's calling to me. Eat me. Eat me. I can hear it. Literally, I can hear it. Yeah. Maybe I'm, going slightly crazy. Trio, don't make me sing the song. Yeah. Old Jamaica. Yeah. Love it. Yeah, Maltesers. Absolutely. Oh, don't. I'm going to have to finish off that dairy milk this evening. I can see it happening before it melts. Even if it did melt, I'd still lick the wrapper. Club biscuits. Now, there was a big row about club biscuits, wasn't there, Nettie? Because at one point, they changed the chocolate. So they used to say, if you like a lot of chocolate on your biscuit, join our club, didn't they? But then they changed it to a chocolate flavoured coating. So they weren't allowed to use that advertising campaign. Yeah, I know. And again, they did a raisin club. That was my favourite. Yeah. Oh, I loved it. Milky Bar. Yeah, love a Milky Bar. Again, they're not supposed to call it white chocolate, are they? Because it's not actually chocolate. I know. What's that buzzing sound? Is there a bee down the chimney? A finger of fudge, just enough to give your kids a treat. Well, I didn't find them enough, frankly. I could have eaten 2 or 3 of those. And somebody mentioned a 99. I used to love a 99 with a flake. Poppets. They were little things, weren't they, Poppets? Were they?
Yeah, with different centres.
Ronnie, you worked in Jacobs. Now, did you get free chocolate? Oh, I love a Twix, Sarah, but I love the little ones. They do they used to do their own, didn't they, Paul?
They
We
do.
used to have those.
But they're very small.
Yeah, they're too small now. It's like a mini bar, whatever they call them. What were those? Fun sized. Do you remember fun sized? Now, I mean, they were fun, but you had to eat 20 to get any satisfaction. Really. Well, Helen, I do like to take us down a memory lane occasionally. I think a little bit of fun nostalgia is good for the soul. That's why we like all those programs, foods of the 70s and foods of the 80s and things like that. We love all of that. Caroline, a twirl. Love a twirl. I love them all. When they have those programs, sweets of the 80s or whatever, I've usually had them all. Terrible. It's a wonder I'm not terribly ill, I tell you, after all the sugar and chocolate I've consumed over the years. Oh, Sally, so Aldi do a fake Twix as well. We haven't got an Aldi nearby. We'd have to travel to Hounslow, or has Acton got an Aldi? Yeah, Acton's got one as well. We'd have to travel to Hounslow and Acton to go to an Aldi. We're in Little land here. We've got Littles left, right and centre now, I tell you. Greenford, Ealing, Brentford. Where's the other one? West Ealing. Hanwell,
Southall,
which is having a refit. Southall. Yeah, Little land round here. Which is good because the population is intense in our borough. So Ealing is I think now the 4th largest borough in London, with a population, I think, of around 330,000. Sorry?
380,000.
Is it? I thought it was 340,000, Ealing. I'm not too sure. Are you checking, Paul?
Yeah.
Paul's checking on the interweb. Yeah. So yeah, it's it's an intensely populated borough, and you've got
375,000.
370. It's gone up. And
so when I said 380,000,
you were right, Paul. Oh, well done, Paul. It's intensely populated, so we need as many budget supermarkets as we can cram in. And it's highly multicultural, you know, which is one of the things we love about being in a London borough. It's such a mixture across the board. And also you've got the very affluent areas, and you've got the poorer areas as well. So, you know, you've got just such a diverse range of people here. You need something for everybody. Just checking the comments. I think I've missed a few. Topic. That's for Dean. Fries Turkish Delight. Love a Turkish Delight. Full of Eastern promise. I don't remember it being a Raider. I always remember it as a Twix. Crunchy, love a crunchy. Were the poppets squirrel poo, Tony? Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's Ealing for you. We're lucky because I don't know, for those of you who don't live in a city, London is a collection of towns and villages. That's what it is. So Ealing and certainly Hanwell has a villagey vibe to it. Ealing is a very green borough, known as Queen of the Suburbs. And of course, it's home to Ealing Studios, which is still a working studio, isn't it?
Yeah.
And of course, just down the road at White City, which is Shepherd's Bush, used to be the home of the BBC. It still houses BBC Studios at the former TV Centre, which is where I worked. And yeah, so back to Ealing. So Ealing comprises of several towns. So you've got Acton, Southall, Greenford, Hanwell, Ealing Broadway, and there's another one that Perivale's not Ealing, is it? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Perivale. Yeah, I think I've got them all. So it's a collection, and Hanwell is as far west as you can go with a London postcode. Hi, Linda. Debbie Ann. Toblerone. I love a Toblerone, especially a family-sized one. The huge one. Drifter. Yeah, I love a Drifter. Well, loved a Drifter. They still exist. Texan Bar. Yeah. What was the slogan? Something about chewing. Texan. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh, yeah, Sarah. It'll always be a marathon to me. Yeah, so Hanwell, yeah, as far west as you can go with a London postcode. But of course, what has happened over time is London has expanded into...
Sure is a mighty chew.
Sorry?
Sure is a mighty
Sure is a mighty chew. Yeah, that's my Texan accent. What's happened over time is with every city, London has expanded and has taken over areas that used to be within counties. So I think Hanwell would have been part of Middlesex at one point, but we now have a London postcode. So if you go over the river, the postcode changes to a Uxbridge postcode, UB postcode. So yeah, we're right on the border. Ah, you lived in Greenford, Debbie Ann. Okay. You were back in London, North Finchley. I used to live in East Finchley many, many years ago. Yeah, those adverts. They were fantastic. It was a golden age of advertising. I never see adverts now unless we're watching terrestrial TV, which doesn't happen very often. And if we can, we record the programs and then we skip the adverts. Yeah. London is, yeah, it's a big place and there's lots on offer if you partake of it. There's a lot of free stuff on offer, but there's also a lot of stuff that you've got to pay big bucks for, like a West End show. You know, when we were both working in the West End, I think a top price ticket with a booking fee was something like 34 or 36 quid, 36 pounds. Including the fee. Now you're paying like 150,
300.
300. Yeah, please, we haven't got that kind of money. So Nettie, Glaxo's. Yeah, we remember when Glaxo's was in Greenford. I used to drive past Glaxo's when I used to work at Wembley. So I worked at Wembley Stadium in I think it must have been 89, 90, something like that. And I used to live in Hounslow, so I used to drive to Wembley in the days when it was fine to drive to work because you could get a car parking space. Oh, I used to drive to Wembley from Hounslow down that main road past Glaxo's. And then there was a little shortcut that I used to take. Just after Glaxo's, there used to be a right turn and you could cut off the corner, taking you up to Sudbury. And yeah, then they moved Glaxo's to Brentford. And now, of course, they've abandoned that building and they've moved to, I think, a central London address now, which is bizarre. I think they've split up, yeah. Debbie Ann, you lived in Wealdstone in the 60s. Yeah, I've spent quite a bit of time in that area over the years. Hi, Ange. Sorry, just checking. Sally, I ain't putting ivy leaves in my washing machine. No, because knowing my luck, it would break the machine. No, I'm not going to risk that. I don't want any kind of weird green algae in my washing machine. Thank you very much. No, I'll stick to the detergent that I know and love. Okay. Sorry, I've missed a couple of comments. Yeah, East Finchley. I loved East Finchley, actually. It was a really nice place to live. Although I was only renting a small room in a flat with other people. It was a flat share. God, those days when we used to do flat shares and house shares. Wow. Linda, you were born in Shaftesbury Avenue. Wow. Yeah, Paul and I have spent quite a bit of time in Shaftesbury Avenue. Of course, Paul worked on Shaftesbury Avenue. And I used to... Sorry?
Where Bill Kenwright.
Yeah, where Kenwright's. Bill Kenwright was on Shaftesbury Avenue. And of course, I used to spend a lot of time in theatres because Shaftesbury Avenue is well known for being the heartland of West End theatre. So yeah. Okay, guys, it's 1 hour 10 now, and I'm going to start saying goodbye. Yeah, it's that time. I'm trying to remember the name of the road that I lived on. Can you remember the name of the road? Oh, it's coming to me. Park Hall Road.
Yeah.
And it was right by, well, literally 2 steps from the tube station, which was fantastic.
Well, it was literally a 5-minute walk.
It wasn't even a 5-minute
A
walk.
4-minute walk.
I think it was a 3-minute walk, actually, Paul.
But it wasn't literally 2 steps.
It was literally 2 steps. 2 of my giant steps, Paul.
Maybe.
In comparison to your small hobbit leg steps. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Bye, Geraldine. Bye, Jeanette. Bye, Tammy Lynn. Bye, Caroline. Bye, Sally. Listen, have a good weekend, everybody. And if you are in the heat wave or in the middle of hot weather, wherever you are, stay cool whenever you can. I didn't have a local. My local, any socializing I did was in the West End in those days. Yeah. And shopping locally in Budgeons, which was on the main road.
Sandra worked in Wembley.
Okay, Sandra. Yeah. So you know that area well. I worked at the stadium, Wembley Stadium, before it changed, obviously. It was back in 1990, the old Wembley Stadium.
Phew!
Okay, guys, I'm saying goodbye. Have a super evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. It's been super fun. Haven't we had fun? Reminiscing. It's lovely. Thank you all. Yeah, there you go. But I didn't frequent any pubs in that area. But I did used to walk to Hampstead Gardens suburb to go and see my friend who lived there. That was a good walk. Across the main road. Donmar, yeah. We remember the Donmar. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm going to put the phone down first. I am. Have a good weekend too, Nancy. And you, Russian doll. Ta-ta for now. Paul, you're asking people questions. I'm just about to put the phone down. Honestly, at this rate, we'll be going for another half an hour. No, exactly. So stop encouraging. Yes, Bishop's Avenue. Exactly, that's what I used to walk down. My friend lived on the edge of Hampstead Heath, on the corner, in a women's only housing association. Yeah. Fun times. She's in New Zealand now. Yeah. Anyhow, I could keep on talking, and I'm not gonna. Russian doll will talk more about that in the next one. Yeah. And Sandra will talk about more of that. Wembley High Road, the days when it was really good with record shops and Marks and Spencer's and fabulous and a great chippy. Yeah. I need a wee too, Debbie Ann. Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend. Enjoy yourselves, whatever you do. Take care now. I'm putting the phone down now. I'm going to click. You see my thumb? It's hovering. Bye, Karen. Bye, Nettie. Bye, all. Our Price. Yeah, we used to shop there. Exactly. Bye, 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 bye. Bye.